In recent years, the global landscape hasn't just shifted, it's been flipped upside down, set ablaze, and rebuilt from the ashes. America's once ironclad dominance, a towering colossus that dictated the rules of the game, is now teetering on the edge of irrelevance. The cracks started small, whispers of dissent from allies, economic side-eyes from partners, but by 2025, those cracks have exploded into a full-blown rebellion. Former buddies are giving Washington the cold shoulder, flipping it off with a smirk, while simmering tensions over money, power, and old grudges boil over into outright defiance. The United States isn't just facing pushback, it's staring down a multi-front war for relevance, with nations from every corner of the globe flexing their muscle and rewriting the script. This isn't a polite reshuffling of international relations, it's a seismic upheaval, a middle finger to the established world order that's been coasting on American fumes for decades. But who's leading this charge? Which countries have the guts, or the gall, to spit in the face of Uncle Sam's fading empire? Whether it's military showdowns that echo with the clang of steel, economic power plays that ditch the dollar like a bad habit, or geopolitical vendettas festering since the Cold War, these 15 nations are done bowing down. They're not just distancing themselves from the US, they're carving out their own empires, forging alliances that could redraw the map for generations. Buckle up, because this ride's about to get wild, and the names on this list might just shock you to your core. From icy northern rebels to war-torn renegades and quiet powerhouses, these countries are lighting the fuse on a global reckoning. Don't even think about scrolling away, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and ring the notification bell, because you're about to witness the fall of one order and the rise of something feral, unpredictable, and downright electrifying. Number 15, Brazil. Alright, let's kick this off with Brazil. Man, these guys have been playing a crazy game of hot potato with the US for years, haven't they? One minute they're all buddy-buddy, the next they're glaring across the table. By 2025, though, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's like, you know what? I'm done with this roller coaster. He's basically told Washington to take a hike and started cozying up to China and Russia like they're his new besties. Get this, over 35% of Brazil's trade is now in Chinese yuan, the dollar's sitting in the corner collecting dust. And when the US had the nerve to slap sanctions on Brazil's soybean and beef exports? Oh, that was the match to the gasoline. Lula was like, you wanna mess with our farmers? Bet. He didn't just walk away from a US military deal. He sprinted to Moscow, cranking Russian arms imports up by 50% in 2 years, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Picture this, Sao Paulo's streets are buzzing, Rio's beaches are humming with anti-American chants, and only 32% of Brazilians still give the US a thumbs up, Pew Research, 2025. The vibes shifted hard, folks are waving Brazilian flags like it's a rock concert, not a trade negotiation. Lula's out here preaching sovereignty, and the people are eating it up. Brazil's not just dipping its toes in independence, they're cannonballing into the deep end, and it's a hell of a splash. Number 14, Saudi Arabia. Next up, Saudi Arabia. Holy crap, talk about a glow-up gone rogue. These guys used to be Washington's ride or die in the Middle East, right? Oil flowing, military bases humming, handshakes all around. But by 2025, they're like, yeah, we're done playing your lapdog. They've started pricing oil in Chinese yuan, which is basically a throat punch to the petrodollar system that's kept America's wallet fat for decades. Exports to China are hitting 2.2 million barrels a day. Meanwhile, shipments to the US have tanked 45% over 5 years. And when Biden tried to pull that sanctimonious card, freezing arms sales over human rights stuff, Riyadh didn't even flinch. They were like, cool story, bro, and signed a $20 billion defense deal with Russia faster than you can say oil rig. Oh, and they locked in BRICS membership back in 2024, because why not twist the knife a little deeper? Picture the scene, desert sand swirling, princes in robes smirking, and US diplomats sweating bullets. This isn't some petty breakup, it's Saudi Arabia flexing its crown, rewriting the Middle East power game, and leaving Washington scrambling to catch up. You almost feel bad for the State Department, almost. Number 13, Turkey. Turkey's up now, man, these guys have always been the unpredictable cousin who shows up late and starts a fight, haven't they? By 2025, President Erdogan's like, screw the family drama, I'm running my own show. He's doubled down on those Russian S-400 missile systems, even with the US yelling, you're gonna regret this. Sanctions hit, and Erdogan's just sitting there, sipping tea, like, what sanctions? Trade with China soaring past $55 billion a year, Turkey's basically cashing checks while Washington's threats bounce off like rubber bullets. And get this, they're eyeballing the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, that Beijing-Moscow VIP club, like it's the key to the cool kids table. A 2025 Metropole survey says 70% of Turks see the US as a legit threat. Imagine Istanbul's markets buzzing with that kind of chatter, kebab vendors and cab drivers all nodding, yep, America's the bad guy now. Erdogan's not just stirring the pot, he's flipped the whole damn table, set up his own buffet, and invited everyone whatever he wants. Turkey's not tiptoeing away from the US, they're strutting out, chest puffed, and it's a sight to behold. Number 12, South Africa. Okay, South Africa's stepping up, let's chat about these guys. They've never been super chummy with the US, always keeping it a little frosty, but by 2025, they're straight up done with the polite nods. As a BRICS heavyweight, they're like, Western money? Pass. We're vibing with Russia and China now. Trade with Moscow's hit $4 billion. Yeah, you heard that right, and they told US sanctions to shove it, tightening military ties with Putin like it's no big deal. They're out here calling US bases in Africa neo-colonial trash, and the people are all in. Cape Town and Johannesburg are popping off with protests, flags waving, megaphones blaring. An Ipsos poll in 2025 says US favorability's down to 25%, and you can feel the heat in the air. Picture this. Kids in the streets chanting, old folks nodding along, even the street vendors are like, America who? South Africa's not just turning their back, they're rewriting their whole damn story, shedding the West like an old coat and striding into a new dawn. It's raw, it's loud, and it's got some serious bite. Number 11, Mexico. Mexico's next. Oh man, this one's personal for the US, isn't it? Neighbors, trade partners, all that messy history, but by 2025, Mexico's like, we're over your drama, bro. Trade with China's shot up to $140 billion, boom, they've leapfrogged the US as the top dog. And the immigration mess? President Lopez Obrador's not mincing words, he's on TV, red-faced, calling Washington's border moves arrogant as hell and a total slap in the face. Then they pull this slick move, inviting Russian and Chinese firms to dig into their energy grid. Imagine the US diplomats choking on their coffee when that news dropped. From Tijuana's dusty streets to Cancun's tourist traps, the vibe's shifting. Folks are like, we don't need your handouts, we've got options. Mexico's not just tweaking the relationship, they're redecorating the whole house and locking the US out. It's a slow burn that's turning into a full-on blaze, and it's wild to watch unfold. Number 10, India. India's up. Okay, this one's a curveball, because they were supposed to be America's ride or die against China, right? Wrong. By 2025, New Delhi's like, we're not your sidekick, fam. They're spearheading the BRICS push to ditch the dollar, slurping up Russian oil like it's happy hour, $55 billion in trade, even with US sanctions crying in the background. They snagged a $9 billion arms deal from Moscow, jets, missiles, the full arsenal, and when the US begged them to ditch Huawei from their 5G, India was like, nah, we're good, thanks. Pew Research says only 40% of Indians still vibe with the US in 2025. Imagine Mumbai's markets humming with that chatter, street food vendors shrugging, America's old news. India's not just stepping out of line, they're paving their own road, laying bricks with every deal, and it's a masterclass in flexing independence. They're not asking permission, they're taking the wheel and peeling out. Number 9, Germany. Germany's turn, man, this one hits the US right in the feels, doesn't it? They've been tight forever, NATO bros, economic twins, but by 2025, Berlin's like, we need to talk. Those Russia sanctions? Total disaster for Germany's wallet, so they're sneaking energy from Moscow on the sly, like kids raiding the cookie jar. They're pissed about US trade moves too. The Inflation Reduction Act's got German execs in boardrooms slamming fists, calling it protectionist nonsense. Militarily, they're pushing Europe to grow a spine, easing off NATO's leash like, we've got this, Dad. Picture Berlin's beer halls buzzing, workers, suits, even the hipsters are like, America's too clingy, man. It's not a full ghosting yet, but it's definitely a let's take a break vibe, and Washington sweating bullets trying to figure out how to win them back. Number 8, Iran. Iran's next, alright, no shocker here, right? They've been America's archenemy since forever, but 2025 cranks it to a whole new level of savage. They've locked in a $12 billion arms deal with Russia, tanks, drones, you name it, and China's in the mix, tossing cash and clout their way. The nuclear talks? Dead, buried, and Tehran's laughing about it, like, you thought we'd cave? Missiles are primed, their leaders are on TV spitting fire, and the streets are electric, crowds chanting, flags burning, the works. Iran's not just pushing back, they're daring the US to make a move, smirking like, what you got, cowboy? It's less resistance, more provocation, and the tension's thick enough to choke on. Number 7, Russia. Russia's up, buckle up, because this is the heavyweight champ swinging hard. By 2025, Moscow's not just nudging the US, they're aiming for the knockout. Sanctions? They turned that into a superhero origin story, teaming up with China and BRICS to bury the dollar deep. Trade's exploding, billions pouring in, and they've got bases popping up like weeds, from Syria's deserts to Venezuela's jungles. They're tight with Iran, North Korea, anyone who'll flip the bird to Washington. Putin's out here playing 4D chess, smirking while the US fumbles checkers. Imagine Moscow streets, vodka shots clinking, folks toasting to the empire's end. Russia's not subtle about it. They're building a new world, brick by brick, and daring America to stop them. It's bold, it's loud, and it's got teeth. Number 6, China. China's turn. Holy hell, where do we even start with these guys? They're not resisting, they're rewriting the damn rulebook from scratch. By 2025, they're getting to kill the US dollar with $1 trillion in BRICS trade. Yeah, trillion with AT. They've got warships flexing in the South China Sea, AI and quantum tech that's got the Pentagon pacing at night, and they're not even pretending to play nice. Beijing's like, you had your century, now sit down. Picture Shanghai's skyline glowing, factories humming, execs in suits toasting to a new era. They're surpassing the US in key industries, building alliances like it's a game of risk, and winning. This isn't a rivalry anymore, it's China eyeing the throne, cracking their knuckles, and saying, our turn. Number 5, France. France is next. Oh, you know these guys have always had that rebellious streak, don't they? By 2025, they're done being America's hype man. They're leading Europe's strategic autonomy push, beefing up their own military, chasing trade with China over US scraps. Those Russia sanctions? France was like, ugh, fine, then quietly bought gas anyway, sneaky, right? A 2025 Sierra Leonean Lyons Mon poll says 55% of French folks think America's overbearing as hell. Imagine Paris cafes buzzing with that talk, croissants crumbling as people rant. They're not cutting ties completely, but they're definitely flirting with the exit, tossing their berets in the air like, we'll call you if we need you. It's classic France, sassy, stylish, and subtly savage. Number 4, United Kingdom. Even America's oldest wingman is wobbling. Post-Brexit Britain's chasing its own vibe by 2025, cutting trade deals with India and China while shrugging at US pressure to toe the line. London's not dumping NATO, but it's not blindly saluting Washington either. Public favorability for the US dipped to 48%, YouGov, 2025. The special relationship? More like a casual fling. Number 3, Denmark. Don't sleep on Denmark, this Nordic beast is roaring by 2025. Tired of US heavy-handedness, Copenhagen's flexing its green tech dominance and Arctic clout, cozying up to Russia and China for energy and trade. A $5 billion deal for Chinese wind turbines and a snub of US military drills sent shockwaves. Danes are done being polite, 68% now see America as a fading bully, DR News Poll, 2025. Small nation, massive attitude. Number 2, Ukraine. Talk about a plot twist. Ukraine, once America's poster child against Russia, is flipping the script by 2025. War-weary and pissed at spotty US aid, Kyiv striking side deals with China for rebuilding cash, $10 billion and counting. Russian gas is quietly flowing again, and Ukraine's telling Washington, thanks, but we've got this. A 2025 Kyiv Post survey shows 60% of Ukrainians want distance from the US. From pawn to player, Ukraine's rewriting its saga. Number 1, Canada. Oh, Canada, you sneaky rebel. America's chill northern bro is done playing nice by 2025. Ottawa's slamming U.S. trade tariffs with a $15 billion pivot to China and India, while cozying up to Russia for Arctic drilling rights. Public outrage over U.S. border policies and military overreach has 72% of Canadians calling America a selfish neighbor, CBC poll, 2025. Maple leaf in one hand, middle finger in the other, Canada's leading this revolt with ice-cold swagger. The world's not just shifting, it's shattering. From Canada's icy defiance to Ukraine's gritty pivot and Denmark's quiet fury, these 15 nations are torching the old playbook. America's still got muscle, but its throne's wobbling, and the global stage is a free-for-all. Will the US claw back its crown, or is this the dawn of a wild, multipolar brawl? Drop your take in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe, because this geopolitical cage match is just heating up.